What's up, ONECast? Welcome back. Today I'm here with Avery once again, and today we are going to be talking about a very important topic. We're going to be talking about mental health. So before we get started, I just want to read something to you all very quickly. I found this online. It says nearly 1 in 3 adolescents of all ages, 13 through 18, will experience anxiety disorder. These numbers have increased over the years. What do you think?
I think that's more than true, definitely. I think I've seen such a huge increase ever since me being in high school, and ever since I think middle school. I saw a big increase in that kind of stuff. But
no, I agree. I think the 13 part of it, because when you're 13, you're in 7th, 8th grade.
Yeah.
I definitely think that that's true. What do you think causes teens to have anxiety?
I think society or pressure from society. I think sometimes it could be school, all the work, the heaviness, depending on what you do, extracurricular, all that kind of stuff. Even home could give you a lot of anxiety. It's all depending on the person.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think school plays a big part, especially now because we're in the middle of the pandemic and everything is online, everything's virtual, and I can't speak for everyone else, but for me that's very stressful because I have very high standards for myself with school. So not having that in-person contact, it's very stressful, I think. So actually I kind of wanted to ask you, related to COVID, how do you think your mental health has changed since COVID started?
So actually, I think it got better. Well, because before when I was in school, I was going through a really, really hard time, and it kind of was just a drop for me. And when I got into COVID and we stayed at home more, I think I had a lot more time to focus on myself and try to realize where the problem was, because I think I was just running from the problem for a really long time. And it just COVID gave me the chance to sit down and realize what actually was happening. So for me, it was good, but I know for others it was harder because they didn't have that time to talk to their peers and all that face to face.
Yeah. Personally, I think mine got worse, much worse, and I think it's because so you go to Parkside, I go to Bennett, and we both had to get up very early to go to school, and I hated that. I had to get up at 6:30, I think, or something like that, and I hated it, and my classes were 50 minutes long, and I had 7 periods. I really did not like it, and there was just always so much going on. But now that I look at it, I'm just man, I would do anything to go back and wake up at 6:30 and go to school and be in the same room with all these crazy people. I would do anything for that. And I think when you have been in not only just public school your whole life, but you're used to that, and then you go from that to being in quarantine for, I don't even know how long we were in quarantine.
I think about a year.
Hit
a year. Or yeah, I think it just hit a year this March.
That we were in quarantine? Or since we've been in quarantine?
Since we've been in quarantine.
Oh, okay. No, because quarantine was really long, and I went outside, I took walks and stuff like that, but I didn't have that social interaction that I was used to, and I love being alone, don't get me wrong, but it was just so weird, I guess, because I was just surrounded by my family, and I think it just didn't help because I was alone a little too much, and my sleep schedule was really bad. I didn't go to sleep until the sun rose, so I definitely think mine has gotten worse, but I think now that things are starting to slow down a little bit, I'm starting to kind of reflect on how much growth I've had since then. So a big factor that causes stress and anxiety is school. Is there something else that stresses you out besides school?
I think for a long time I just let society stress me out, what I think was expected of me.
Yes.
I just let it all stress me out, college, all that. I would think about it so much, to the point where it just became exhausting.
Yeah.
Exhausting, however you pronounce it, to think about it. And that definitely played a huge part in how I worried, or the specific stuff I worried about, or future stuff, all that.
I agree, because I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking, we go to school for 13 years, right?
Yeah.
That's 13 years of schooling, just to go for another 4 years, which is 17 years of schooling. So we spend 17 years in school of learning, and I was thinking, I was that's a lot.
That is a lot.
Except these next 4 years, they're about to cost you so much money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I definitely think school is my number one thing that stresses me out. But on top of that, I think society stresses me out as well, because it's you're expected to be like a certain thing, you're expected to basically be anything but yourself.
Basically
Anything but yourself. And I'm just like, what? Because it's like when you are yourself, it bothers people, and then when you're not yourself, you're being fake. So it's like,
I know there's never a good in between, and it's so hard to just like find it. So like I don't know. What did you do in that situation?
In what situation? Like with society?
Yeah.
Honestly, like I think it's just like staying true to myself, like on the inside. And I also think it doesn't help that like whenever there are like certain trends going on and like you want to be a part of the trends, people are like, oh my gosh, like you're so basic. And then when you don't want to be a part of the trends, it's like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like you really can't make anyone happy. And it's also like these trends, they're temporary, they're not gonna last forever. I'm trying to think of a trend that we have now. What's it like? Give me something.
I don't know.
Like for example, TikTok.
Oh yeah.
So TikTok, it's been like a big trend. But if you think about it, by the time like we're in college,
it's not gonna be a thing.
It's
pretty
not
much.
gonna be a thing. So I definitely think that society stresses us out. But I also think that like on the inside, you have to like be strong and like stay true to who you are.
You have to be like confident in yourself.
Yes. So how do you take care of yourself?
I think for me, I like to just take a step back and just like realize the problem, like if I'm having one, and just like have time to myself. Like I'll just like watch TV or whatever, just give myself time to like space away from just like talking to people or whatever. Just take a moment to myself, I think is what I do. But it's like different for every person, obviously, in their needs.
Yeah, I think the way that I take time for myself is just like spending the time alone with myself, because like I said, I love my alone time. But no, because like I feel like the more that I've learned to be okay with myself, the more I've realized that I'd rather be alone than be with like bad company or be with people that don't make me genuinely happy. And I also think that like praying helps me a lot, because it's like it's a judgment-free zone. Like you're literally just talking to God, like it's just you and him. So I definitely think that's how I take care of myself. My next question would be, so COVID has been around for over a year. We already talked about that. And I know we already talked about like your mental health. What changes have you seen in yourself?
I am so much louder. I used to be so quiet. Like I came from a really small school, obviously, or whatever. And I always kept to myself, especially like from, I think, sophomore year coming into like junior year. At sophomore year, I found it really hard to just like talk to people. Like I'd always like want to say something, but I just kept to myself because I just had so much anxiety and all of that. So once I got the chance to come to One Youth, I just like, I'm such a different person. It's crazy to look back at that stuff and see it all happen. But I'm just so much louder and more myself, I think, now.
Oh, that's great. I think for me, it's like a balance. It's like, so before COVID, I was very much a people person, loved people. Now, don't get me wrong, I still love talking to people, but I think it's more like I get nervous, which is like weird because I've never really had to like worry about that. But I think it's because it's like we spent so much time inside alone, away from people. So it's like when like we were finally allowed to like go back out and like do stuff and like talk to people, it's kind of like, how do we talk to these people? You know what I mean? Definitely think that has been a little bit of a struggle. So lastly, what advice, like if you could give to anyone watching about like mental health, what would you tell them?
I think that there's so many different ways to like help with mental health and all that. Obviously like praying and like just having a good relationship with like God and all that is something that helps. Going to like a therapist or something to talk out issues can help, talking to friends. I think it's all different for every person and obviously like what they're comfortable with. Yes. But just finding the right way to like express yourself and get all that bad stuff out of the way so you can be happier and all that.
That's really good. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for being here, not once, but twice. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye. Thank you for joining us, ONECast. We're taking a break for the summer, but we'll see you all in the fall.